Episode 156 of Australia's ¡1 marketing show. Listen in as Nevada-based handyman Daniel Perry shares why publishing his monthly income report has enabled him to build a business he loves, plus how to overcome anal retentiveness. Anal what?
Welcome to the Small Business Big Marketing Show, where successful small business owners share their secrets to take your marketing to the next level. Now here's your host, Tim Reid.
G'day listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Australia's #1 marketing show. I am your host, Timbo Reid, but you, you, so much more importantly, are the motivated business owner that just wants to crank out some great marketing, generate some more inquiry, build your business. Hey, it's that simple, isn't it? Well, we try to make it simple, that marketing thing. And we are brought to you by the very good folk at Net Registry, who are there to make your marketing life even more simple. See, they get your online marketing sorted. And by that, I mean you can go and register a domain in a heartbeat. You can get your website hosted, designed, developed. Sometimes I trip over words. I am not going to edit any of that. Developed. And you can even do a little bit of search engine optimization with Net Registry. They're there to help you get your online marketing sorted. Incredibly helpful people. Tell them Timbo sent you. You can go over to netregistry.com.au or you can go to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com and hit that Net Registry banner for some special listener packages. Now, we are also here to welcome the Flying Solo community. Now, big show. Always big show. I am going to talk about, we're going to get on my soapbox. That's what I'm getting on my soapbox a bit lately, I know. But I'm getting a bit of email too from listeners saying that you are enjoying it. So as long as you enjoy the rants, I'll keep ranting. Getting on my soapbox about rude customers and how us, small business owners deal with them. I went to buy the old Apple iPhone, the 5S, the other day, and that was a bit of an experience. I bought a microphone, a lapel mic, same day, and so I recorded my experience from after leaving the Apple store as I was driving home iPhone-less. And what I might do is I'll put that on the back end after the closing credits, because otherwise this is going to be a long show. So you can hear me rant about the iPhone after the closing credits. Goes for about, 8 or 10 minutes. Bit of feedback from a listener. Got an update from the guys over at Thank You, who previous guest. Great news there. And what else have I got? I have got a question. I have got a question from a listener about getting a marketing checklist sorted out. Then my special guest today, Nevada handyman, what's his name? Dan Perry. I was going to say Jay Perry. No, Dan Perry. So, boy, oh boy, marketing gold dripping from the ceiling. So, let's talk rude customers. We've all got them. We have all got them. Would there be a small business in the world that hasn't experienced a rude customer, someone who's walked through the door, rang you, emailed you, that kind of just could have done it in a nicer way? Well, I had one of them last week, and I thought it was quite interesting. Now, I am going to read you an email that I sent to my list. You may well have got it if you have signed up at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com, but it was an email suggesting why you should join the Small Business Big Marketing Forum. And my strategy behind those emails is always to share something of value and not just push the idea of joining the forum, a sales message. I want to give value first and foremost. And I think we should all do that. So here's my email. The subject line said, "You're shooting yourself in the foot big time." And then I went on to say, "Hi, insert personal name. That's what I said to a mate today. He's one of those mates who rings up and likes to pick my brain. Don't you just love it when people do that? Anyway, he's a good guy trying to do good things with his small business. He knows so much about the industry in which he operates. He could so easily position himself as the go-to guy. I've been telling him this for ages. If only you just shared your knowledge, you'd have people knocking down your door. I've not so politely exclaimed more than once. Get your message right first, then worry about where to put it, I'd rant. So you know what he does? He goes and buys a video camera and a lapel mic and sets up a YouTube channel and blog. "What'd you do that for?" I asked through gritted teeth. "'Cause it's easier than figuring out what to say," he said sheepishly. "Look, here's the thing. There are some aspects of marketing that are hard. I get that. But if you nail them, then the rest falls into place and your phone rings more often. More people start walking into your shop. That's why I've created the Small Business Big Marketing Forum. Ask me questions, seek advice, learn, unlock the blockages, grow. At $1.63 a day, it's chicken feed." And that kind of was the email that I sent out to my list. I thought there was a bit of value in there and also a little call to action, a little bit of a sales spin at the end. And a successful email. However, in comes the rude prospect. This email comes back to me. Subject, fraud. Fraud's a big word, Don't use that lightly. Then he says, "Dear Timbo." So he's been listening to the show. "Greedy. At $1.63 a day, it's chicken feed." So he's kind of put that in brackets, calling me greedy. "And opinionated. I've been telling him for ages, you say." Yeah, well, that's what I have been. It's not that opinionated. "Marketing floggers like you do my head in." Oh, he's getting a bit aggressive now. And then the piece de resistance, he tells me to F off. "Sincerely, John." And then I replied, "Hi, John. I'm sorry you feel that way. Pretty aggressive language, though. Would you be up for a quick interview via Skype that I may include in an upcoming episode? You clearly have a problem with people selling things via the internet and it would make for an interesting discussion. Cheers, Tim Reid," and I give him my Skype ID. So, that was the kind of process that's what transpired last week. I kicked back a bit. I'd love to know how you deal with rude customers. I put this discussion in the forum and got some great stuff coming back. Really, really interesting kind of bits of advice and observations, some of which I'd like to share with you to help you deal with rude customers. Christian says, "My guess is he may be a small business owner and has been bitten by some marketing suggestion that didn't deliver a return. Thought you handled it really well. It would have been hard not to fire back an aggressive retort. Good effort to try and turn him into a success story." I think one of the things we've got to do with rude customers is take a step back, take a big breath and look at it in the cold, hard light of day. Even, walk away from it overnight and see whether you kind of still feel riled by it. Nick in the forum says, "At least he read your email. Seemingly it's in its entirety and in detail as well." Yeah, well, that's true. Always take the positive. My wife keeps telling me that. Always look at the positive side of things, she says, and I tend to agree with that. And then Kate. I love this one and the rest of the forum loved it well. Listen to this. "People like John get sucked in because they are still looking for the magic formula, which we all know is hard work." Absolutely true. Gosh, there's great learning there. It is about hard work. Yes, there's marketing gold in shows like this. Yes, there's people trying to sell you things left, right, and centre to make your life easier, all that type of stuff. But the reality is success comes from plain hard work. So I think we all know that. You're all motivated business owners listening to it, but it's a nice reminder. Kate goes on to say, "Never take these things personally." Great advice. I can sometimes take these things personally, but I'm getting better. Every day, in every way, I get better and better. But then comes Kate's, what I've now labelled quote of the forum. "How do I deal with rubbish like that if I got that email? I would hit delete in a heartbeat. Never look back, baby," says Kate. "I'm too busy for babies I didn't give birth to." I love that. I love that. And so did the rest of the forum. So, look, I don't know, rude customers, they're not going away. It's a good discussion to have because you may as well be prepared for one before they come along so you know what to do when they do come along. And I think taking a big breath, giving it some space, not taking it personally, and knowing that you are doing the good things with the right intention, I think if you know that, then it is happy days. Got an update only this week from the guys at Thank You. You may remember the interview I did with Daniel Flynn a few weeks ago where he was trying to get his product range stocked by the two biggest supermarket brands in the country, in Woolworths and Coles. He had put together an amazing campaign. Go back and have a listen to that episode at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com if you missed it. Daniel Flynn from the brand Thank You. I got a note from his press girl, Sarah, who says, I just want to touch base and let you know about an announcement today that Thank You products are rolling out in Coles supermarkets. I subsequently got an email 2 days later to say they're now in Woolworths supermarkets. I thought you may be interested as your listeners have followed the story so closely. How good is that? How good. That is the end. It's not really the end, but it's a wonderful chapter closed from a fantastic marketing case study, and a big hip, hip hooray to the guys at Thank You for sharing their journey along the way. And I'm going to go out and buy some Thank You products right now. I do love a good news story, as I know you do, and I'm just going to keep them coming. Let's have a look at this. This is a bit of feedback from Scott Thompson. Scott says, hey, Timbo, just a comment. I enjoy your podcast, but I'm neither an entrepreneur nor a small business owner. I love that. Sometimes it's really interesting to listen, read, watch things that aren't related to what you do. So well done, Scott. It's brain expanding stuff. I have been underemployed for a couple of years now, doing whatever I can to keep a roof over my head, from walking dogs to changing oil to a bit of copywriting. Wow, that's inspiring. Fortunately, that is about to change. Awaiting a contract for a project management position with a decent starting salary. Small Business Big Marketing has helped keep my mind sharp and up to speed on what's going on globally in the marketing arena. Being from the States, I appreciate your perspective. Oh, good on you. Get a few people say that. I wonder what the different perspective in the States is. Is it over the top? I thought this show was over the top. Back to Scott. Some of the guests you've had on, such as the guy from Thank You Water, are doing huge cutting-edge marketing. Damn right they are. Amazing stuff, especially considering they are modelled similar to a not-for-profit. Your podcast has resulted in a number of Evernotes where I have developed potential businesses and marketing ideas, as well as influenced the novel I am drafting. What? My show has influenced a novel? I want a copy of that when it's out, Scott. Boy, oh boy, mate, go for it. And I will be happy to promote it when it is. Thank you for all the content you put out there. Get a huge kick when you get on your soapbox and have a rant. Well, I've been on my soapbox today and had a rant, Scott. Mate, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing your story. Well done on, you know what, not giving up. You know, you've walked dogs, you've changed oil, you've done some copywriting. You're leading an interesting life as far as I'm concerned, and not to be looked poorly at. I think it's interesting. Might not be paying the bills, might be a struggle, but keep at it, mate, because you are clearly on the right path. Let's get stuck into what is becoming a very large pile of listener questions. By the way, I don't know whether you've noticed, but I'm thoroughly enjoying putting this podcast together. I've got a bit of a new approach to the way I structure an episode, which I'll share with you one day. This episode's going a bit over time, but yeah, don't know. Personally, don't know whether it's coming through in the show, but personally, I feel as though I've kind of just snuck it up a level or two in the way I go about putting it together. Anyway, just thought I'd share how I was feeling as I hit record then. Now, I have got a question from a listener who calls me Mr. Timbo. Mr. Timbo, your style of presenting chunky, cut-through marketing nuggets is great. I'm always looking forward to Tuesdays for the new rant. Yeah, this rant thing's coming through a bit, eh? Might have to look deeper into that. I'm a chef. I was going to say a chief, but he's a chef that ran my own catering and events company for 12 years and let it go in 2004 to take on a sales role in the food service industry. I, partly thanks to your dripping good advice, have put an offer in for a food distribution business. And when I sign the dotted line, I will try to join your forum. I would probably still be in my catering events business if I had your dripping gold stuff to listen to on the podcast waves back then. Moving forward, keep up the good stuff. Your Ocker approach to breaking down marketing rants is fantastic. My question, what is my marketing checklist to hit this new venture with, this new food distribution venture with? And this question's come from James Collier. James, he's got a business looks like a future owner of food estate. James, thanks, mate, for the question. I'll give you 5 things you should do. Review what's working and amp it up. You say there's no marketing going on at the moment. All businesses have got some aspect of marketing going on, from simply your branding to your networking to maybe some signage, whatever it is. But figure out what is working for your business from a marketing perspective, from a communications perspective, and do more of it. Number 2, get a website. I couldn't find a website for Food Estate. I'd get one, mate. You are who Google says you are. So to that end, do a keyword identification. Find out what people would be putting into Google when searching for a business like yours, and create the website content all around it. All the copy, the videos, the pictures, whatever you're going to put on that website around those keywords, and make sure you own those puppies. Create a simple structure for that website when you do. Don't overcomplicate it. You know, a home, an about page, a description of your services, a blog, and a contact. Make it easy for people to contact you. Really, really important. Don't overcomplicate it, because that'll stop you from getting the website up. Number 3, if there's number 3 or number 4, I don't know, I've lost count already. Ring all your existing clients and ask what could be done better and what their problems are that they have that you can solve. So ask the hard questions. What could this existing business do better in order to keep their business? And what problems do they have that you can solve? In knowing those 2 things, you can then create solutions, James, around those things. Number 4, once you've done that, follow up those clients that you've spoken to and thank them. And I suggest doing that with a simple video that you shoot on your iPhone, upload to YouTube as a private listing, and send a link to them. I want you to build engagement with these people, that emotional attachment. I want you to build a brand. You've bought a business, now it's time to build that brand. Last one, seek some editorial on key sites and trade publications, because I think the industry needs to know that there's a new guy in town, right? And I think get the word out there, have a little bit of a launch, make some noise around your brand. You don't have a lot of you probably don't have a lot of money to do this. You don't need a lot of money to do this. Roll the sleeves up marketing, I call this. Get out there, Scott. James, gosh, why do I keep calling you Scott? Never been good with names. I'm good with faces. Get out there, James, and mate, enjoy it. Go back and listen to the 156 episodes of this show and capture some of that marketing gold that my guests and that other people have shared on this show. That right there will help you grow your business, help you build a brand, help you get more inquiry. Good luck with it, James. Okay, let's get stuck into today's special guest. It is Dan Perry from HandymanStartup.com. Dan went to the Small Business Big Marketing website a few weeks ago. He hit that button that said, I would like to be interviewed by you, Timbo. And he sent me this email. He said, hey, Tim, I love your show and just got a ton of tips on using AdWords for my business. Must have been that Mike Rhodes interview I did. I definitely need to give it a shot. I'm sending you this message because I think I'd be a great fit for an interview on your show. Here's a little bit about me. I started my handyman business just under 2 years ago and have been tracking my successes and failures on the Handyman Startup blog, where I also share my income reports each month. I've built my business from internet marketing and, like you, am dedicated to helping others build their businesses. He had my attention right there. I'd love to come on your show and share my story to hopefully inspire and help others. If you'd like to have a quick chat, here is my contact details. I hit up Dan. I had a look at his blog. I loved it. Absolute detail and amazing transparency. I hit up Dan, said, righto, mate, come on the show. And he did. And here is Dan and I having a fireside chat with the aim of helping you grow your business. Here's Dan. Dan Perry from Nevada, United States of America, and Handyman Startup. Welcome to Small Business Big Marketing.
Thanks for having me.
Mate, it is an absolute pleasure. Thanks for hitting me up and requesting an interview. I think it's a really interesting story, and this is a story about a small business doing really big marketing. So I'm excited.
Yeah, me as well. You know, I was listening to your podcast for a while and I really liked what you had to say. And I thought, you know, I might have something to offer a lot of the home service providers that listen to your podcast. So I thought I'd, you know, give you a ring.
Absolutely, mate. Well, listen, I'm going to start with a hard question. I've had a really good look at what you do. Sometimes my hard questions are funny, but this isn't funny. So I love what you do and how you go about it. But Dan, I can't help but think you should be earning more than $64.47 an hour with 72 billable hours in August 2013.
Yeah, you're probably right. And the reason for that is honestly my primary focus. Most of my effort actually goes into my Handyman Startup blog at this point. So
Really?
Absolutely. Yes.
That's interesting, because I would have thought that in order for Handyman Startup blog to be compelling, you want to be the handyman making loads of dough.
Yeah, surprisingly, there's still a lot of people out there that find my information really compelling because they think that $60 an hour is extremely high. There's a lot of handyman in the U.S. that there's kind of a stigma around it where they charge way too little. There's handyman in my town that charge $20 an hour. It's really crazy. So I came out of nowhere with very little experience. I never worked as a handyman before I started my business. I actually used to work as an engineer, and I quit that job because it wasn't something I was into. But I started this business really not knowing a whole lot about the handyman, the handyman industry or the home service industry. And I've just really been kind of like, just diving in and just tackling it and kind of figuring it out as I go.
Like clearly, I think Handyman Startup blog is compelling. Don't get me wrong there. But as I look through it, and we're going to dissect it later in this interview because I think it's just a really interesting case study. As I look through it, look at where you've been, look at what you've done, look at what you're doing, look at the marketing that you are doing, which is kind of, so out there for your average tradesman. I just think, wow, you should be earning more. And granted, $64 an hour for a handyman in the States, I'm guessing is good coin, and it's good coin for anyone. It was interesting because as I was kind of laying out the questions to ask you, I kind of tossed around, do I ask this question at the end because I want listeners to be engaged with the way you're going about marketing your business, or do I ask it up front and they're going, well, he's only earning. What did you earn in August in total? It was $4,000.
Yeah, after all the expenses were paid and everything. Yep.
Which, mate, I find it inspiring. If listeners are at this point now going, "Oh, geez, really? I can earn more than that." But you got to understand, Dan started this business to 2011, sometime in 2011, with very little handyman experience and no online marketing experience. So let's talk about that, Dan. You're trapped in the cubicle. You're an engineer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Working for the man.
Working for the man. I just really, really found out pretty quickly it wasn't for me. And I ended up sticking out for about 3.5 years. Finally got inspired enough to just quit. And I had no idea what I was going to do when I quit.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I had absolutely no idea. I didn't even know if I was going to be a handyman or what. I was just like, what? I just know I'm not going to do this anymore.
Wow.
So I actually, in between starting my business and quitting my job, I did a lot of research in internet marketing, and I kind of got into it, and I was like, I really want to do this because this is really compelling. It seems like it could be a really powerful way to, influence and, create value for the world. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't figure out a niche, and I just really couldn't pick my niche. And eventually I decided, internet marketing is not for me. I really don't have anything valuable to share with anybody yet. I need to go out and, create a story. So I was like, what other business can I start? Because I'm definitely not going to go get another job and work for somebody else.
Mm-hmm. How old are you?
I am now 30. I was 28
mm-hmm.
at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I started, so I decided, I was like, I'm going to start a handyman business. I have some experience from working on my own home. I'm not the classic handyman who has 30 years of construction experience, but I decided, I'll have a go at it, see what I can do.
What are we talking? Like classic experience working on your own home? Are we talking changing tap washers and hanging paintings?
I'm talking to, I did some bigger remodels than that. I did all the windows in my house, and
to me, who freaks out when the thread of a screw disappears, that's a significant handyman experience, I'd say.
Yeah, but yeah, I was a little bit scared. There was a little bit of fear there for sure. But I decided to do it anyway, and I used the knowledge I gained from that internet marketing research before I started my business, and I was like, I'm going to apply this to my business to get it started and see how it works.
Let's define. You talk about internet marketing. Just define what you mean by that, because is this about using online sources to sell something, or is it about developing an information product and selling that via, what do you mean by internet marketing?
By internet marketing, I just basically mean using the internet to market my business. And in this case, we're talking about my handyman business itself. So I basically did a lot of content marketing. So I built my website, and I, wrote blog posts specifically targeting specific services that I was going to offer, and also did a little bit of search engine optimization and things like that to really drive the traffic to that site, and then sell my services through the internet, essentially.
Okay, so you've gone and started a handyman business like every other bloke going around. Well, not every other bloke, but there's plenty of them.
Oh, yeah.
And at the same time, have you started Handyman Startup in parallel?
Yeah, I started this like a month after I started my handyman business. Yep.
Right. So, listeners, I prefixed this at the start of the show before Dan came on, but just to clarify, we've got a handyman business going along one track, and along the other track at the same time is Dan's website and blog, Handyman Startup, that explains exactly, it's completely transparent of how he goes about marketing his business, how much he earns, his expenses, his income reports, etc. So it's kind of this really interesting two businesses going alongside each other, both of which generate income. I'm really interested, Dan, to understand why. I mean, you could be out there building a handyman business, doing really well, applying the marketing knowledge, the great marketing knowledge that you've got that's allowed you to earn $64.47 an hour, while most handymen are doing $20 an hour. Why do you want to help people get more customers, make more money, and most importantly, enjoy what they do, which is a quote directly from your blog? Why, it's a great, beautiful thing to do, but what's behind that?
I just really see a lot of handymen out there that just aren't getting paid what they're worth. A lot of home service providers, and as well as like solopreneurs or just consultants, just not really either getting the right customers and just really struggling because they don't like who they're working with, or just not making enough money. And I just wanted to help them. I definitely understand how I could make more money just, offering construction or whatever. But I definitely really get inspired when I get an email from somebody who's like, "Hey man, you just totally helped me. I've been in the trades for 30 years. I'm making way less than I should. You gave me everything I need to go start my business." And that's that feeling right there of influencing somebody's life positively is really exciting.
But you didn't know that when you started your handyman business and the blog at the same time. At that point, you might have had a recognition that handyman weren't being paid what they're worth, but at that point you didn't know that you were going to get those kind of emails. I'm trying to understand, like deep down, like,
so why?
Yeah.
Well, definitely the opportunity, of course, of creating a blog and the value behind a blog and the potential opportunities that could come from that, selling information products, speaking. I really wanted to be in front. I want to be in the front. I want to be a creator, a person of influence, really.
Gotcha. So I get it now. Pennies dropped for me because you needed a business. You thought it was going to be an internet marketing business. For whatever reason, that didn't completely ring your bell. You've started an offline business, Handyman, but why not apply all the internet marketings you've learned from your research and run two businesses?
Yes, exactly.
Love it. Yeah, that's mate. It's so clever, And what's the split of income? I should know this because I interrogated your August 2013 report. What's the split of income between banging nails in and pushing buttons on the keyboard?
Well, right now, I actually don't share my income from the Handyman Startup blog. All the income that's shared on that is from my Handyman Startup business itself.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's all just strictly for somebody who's actually starting a handyman business, so they can see exactly what it's like and exactly what they can expect. The expenses and everything along those lines. The money I make from Handyman Startup at this point is not extremely significant yet. However, I'm getting ready to release a product for that. So hopefully that will, help me, empower me to influence even more people,
Yeah. Well, I can see that. There's going to be a time where you're going to be confronted with a decision, I'm guessing, which is Because that handyman startup, when you start creating training products for handyman, and it might be a forum. I noticed you've got a video training series in the making, mate. That's going to overtake banging nails in at some point, I'm guessing.
I honestly, that at this time, that actually is the goal.
Yeah.
Yes. I love offering my handyman services. It's really fun. It's a real one fun way for me to get out there.
Mm-hmm.
But, really my passion is helping other people, create that freedom for themselves.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of interesting, because the fact that you are out on the tools is absolute fantastic, the best credentials you could get for me then wanting to, if I was, say, starting a handyman business, for me to then look to you for advice on how to do that. But at some point, you're going to be off the tools. So I suppose you'll just rely on your successes whilst, on the tools.
Yeah, that and helping others, what is it? Other people I help, and those stories that they create from their successes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll use those to hopefully compel other people to, follow me, and so I can help them, because that's definitely part of this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I love the niche aspect of this. We, in the forum, in fact, only today in the Small Business Big Marketing Forum, and a couple of months ago as well, we were talking about niches. In fact, someone posted an article today about a guy in Melbourne, Australia, who literally makes jeans. He just custom makes, tailor makes jeans, sells them for $50, which is significantly lower than any other jeans you could buy at a department store. And that's all he does. And we were having a bit of a laugh in the forum at just how there's such beauty in niching down. You're getting up every morning working out how to help more handymen.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. So tell me, I want to talk more in this interview about your handyman startup blog than your handyman business, because I've not had this. It's very rare that you get to discuss, the machinations of, it's the full transparency of running a business. So this is kind of cool. So every month you're sharing your monthly income report. What's that made up of?
Well, I share stories about what happened that month, as well as a featured service. I'll talk about a specific service that I offer and how profitable that is and what kind of customers I get from that service. And then I'll discuss a breakdown of my income, and I'll talk about which advertising methods got me that income. So right now, I primarily get my income from existing customers and my online marketing. Mm-hmm. And then I talk about all my expenses for the month, and I list those out, price of materials, gas, phone, insurance, and all those, and break it down. And then I also calculate all of my hours that I'm working throughout the month, so I can track how much I'm making per hour. And so, I can use that as a metric to kind of figure out whether or not my efforts are successful or if I'm wasting my time.
Unbelievable. What's that done to, has it been cathartic for you? What does that do for you as a business, for running the other side of the business?
It's helped tremendously. I mean, the fact that you sit there and you evaluate your, all these different metrics, and you try to figure out, okay, why did this cause it? Because now I have to look at it objectively and explain it to this audience in a clear way that makes sense. And you really have to look at your business objectively, describe exactly why it's happening. And it really does, create some connections that you wouldn't otherwise make in what's driving your business, for one, and, which marketing methods are working and what you might be wasting money on. So It's really, really insightful.
Yeah, well, it gives you some wonderful guidance. And I imagine, again, it's a template for any other handyman to follow. So here's the things that you track, and here's how you measure your success.
Absolutely.
Yeah, amazing. How long do you spend, you get this question all the time, how long do you spend preparing your monthly income report?
I would say accounting and everything, it usually takes me about 8 to 10 hours. So it's a while.
It is a while. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Where is the most time spent just pulling together all the numbers?
Really evaluating. I mean, the numbers go pretty quick. Once you kind of figure that out and you've done it a few times, you can run right through that. But just really trying to break it down and figure out where the value in all those numbers is, and trying to, express that in a way that that other handymen are going to understand and be able to apply directly to their businesses.
Mm-hmm. I imagine handymen, I mean, they wouldn't be the most online savvy people going around. We should talk handy people, by the way, Dan. I know all my female listeners right now are screaming down their earphones, stop talking about men. Handy people, I wouldn't imagine they're the most online savvy people going around. So how are you getting the word out there about Handyman Startup?
Honestly, I use the content marketing. I have a podcast as well to get people in there and listen to the podcast about starting their business. But that's all been online as well. So I use the same marketing methods that I use on my handyman business on my Handyman Startup blog.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd be surprised. More and more people are going to the internet, and I do have quite a few people. Quite a few handyman visiting the site each month. So it surprised me, but yeah, you're right. It's definitely not the most internet savvy group.
Well, it's actually interesting listening to myself ask that last question. The world has changed. We could have said 2-3 years ago that tradies, trying to get them online, listening to podcasts, reading blogs, you're kidding yourself. But honestly, that's kind of no longer valid. People are online of all shapes, sizes, ages, genders, occupations. That's just how it is, eh?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's getting even more so every year. So
yeah. I can see you, I can see you owning this space. And the idea of actually having live events, bringing these guys together and girls together, would be a really powerful way to offer your training as well. Is that sort of something you've got in mind?
Oh, I would. That's my goal. I would love to do that. It would be so exciting to just, bring a group of these people together and really, inspire some change. That would be amazing.
Well, I can see that. So it just seems an obvious next step to me. You've got your kind of free offerings, which is your podcast and your blog. You've got these kind of paid cheap offerings, which is going to be your video training courses. So you're sort of trickling them in that way, and then having some kind of core offering, which I don't know what that would be. Might be a kind of more expensive, I don't know, whatever it's going to be. But your obvious next step after that would be a high margin forum, I would have thought. Sorry, not forum, high margin live event.
Yeah, I haven't really, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I haven't really planned that far ahead as far as how I'm going to make the money. I figure, there's a lot of people out there that say, create the value, and the more people that you can influence and provide value for, eventually the money will come. And, it's definitely, it's not all about the money for me. It's more about the influence and the excitement of helping people. But, obviously money is an important part. I have not really figured out how that's going to, how I'm going to be able to best monetize it in a way that can extend my reach and allow me to help more people yet. Still kind of trying to dial that in.
Well, I think there's lots of things you could do. I think you're well on the way, and I think the quicker you kind of see that, here am I giving some marketing advice. Love it. This is a private consult, Dan.
I love it. I love some advice.
Yeah,
man.
Well, I just think you look at it as an inverted pyramid. So, it's a funnel, and at the top, it looks like you've got the funnel worked out at the widest part, which is getting as many people in as you can. With your blog, with your podcast, with your social media activity, whatever you're doing there. And once they're in that funnel, they're going to go, hey, this is pretty cool. I like what Dan's got to offer. So at that point, you're going to go, well, okay, well, you can buy stuff. You can buy my ebook, or you can buy my video training course. And these are generally kind of low price, low margin items, but they're kind of, and some people will drop off, but some people will go, I love this. What else you got? So then you've got to go, okay, well, you got to have a core offering. And that might be one-on-one consulting for you, or it might be, a more expensive course that you offer via webinar. And then you have that obvious next step, which is the high margin, high price, but high value offering, which would be a live event, for example. And that's at the very pointy end where the least people are going to take it up, but you're going to develop a real tribe.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very common information marketing strategy.
It is.
Yes,
absolutely.
It works.
So let's talk. I want to dissect the site of Handyman Startup because I think I'd be interested if anyone's listening to this thinking, "Gosh, I might come clean with exactly how I run my show." But so you've got home and you talk about who you are and what you do. You got your about page, which gives us an insight into who you are. Then your income reports, and there's a beautiful anal retentiveness about you, Dan. The way you present your information, all very neat and ordered.
Yes, absolutely.
and you want that from a handyman, huh?
I'd hope so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that's it's part of my success, I think.
So if we click on any one of these reports, I'll click on monthly report for August 2013, which is the most recent one. You kind of I love. The incredible amount of detail, Dan. But it's kind of it's a extended blog, and then you also get so for example, you talk about super customers, which I want to touch on in a minute. I love that concept. So you're giving them a tip. Have you got super customers? Here's what a super customer is, and here's how you manage them. So then you have tips for success. You've got income and expenses. That's where you pull apart and come clean with exactly what you've earned and what it's cost you. Man, you even share your schedules, your weekly schedules, diaries, monthly goals. Woo! Hey, it's such rich information. You've got to sign up. You've got this rego box that appears on every page. What are people going to get if they sign up there, Dan?
They get that just puts them on my list, which then I provide them with a drip feed of some more insightful, some tools they can use to get the business started. Some tips, some mindset. There's a couple of things. I address a couple of mindset issues right off the bat, fear of getting started. And then just updates on any of my my free webinars or any courses or any other information I'm coming out with. So really just anything that's really going to help them. I try to provide a lot more value, with that email marketing campaign. It's always way more value than I ask from them, which is definitely, I've found a lot of success, and I get pretty high open rates on my emails from that, I think.
And so you've got, that's a, not SurveyMonkey, MailChimp. Is that a MailChimp form?
Actually, Aweber.
Okay,
Yeah, I use
so
Aweber.
You got an Aweber form, and then you got a series of emails that you drip feed over the course of a period of days or weeks, yeah? Mm-hmm. Cool. Like that. What kind of list have you got? Do you mind if I ask? You share everything. How many on your list?
Yeah, I don't share that. So.
Why not?
No. Yeah, I don't know. I try to keep that. That's more valuable information, I think.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So you're asking for name and email. Do you over the course of time ask for additional information in order to get to know them more, or you just keep sending them quality stuff?
The first email I send out is something that's really important. I say, hey, what's up? This is me. This is who I am. I'm the creator of this. Please tell me a little bit about yourself, and tell me, just if tell me what you're struggling with right now, and if you don't have anything you're struggling with, just say, hey, what's up? And just tell me hi. And I get a really good response from that. It allows, I get a lot of stories. They'll send me their stories of what they're struggling with their job or whatever. Man, that's gold. And they really want to get started. And it's gold. It's absolute gold. You gotta have that two-way communication with your readers. Otherwise, you don't know what you're,
Well, it's two-way communication. The fact that they can reply to an email that you've sent, how many businesses have no reply on their email? Like, figure that one out. But then there's that engagement. And for you, it's just content. That getting insights from customers and prospects of how they're thinking, feeling, what questions they're asking, where they're at. That just then provides you or us, the content creators, with stuff that we need to answer.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, if somebody asks me a question, I always try to say, okay, yeah, I'll definitely try to put that in the next blog post or maybe the next monthly report, or, just really actually answer those questions as well.
I love that, mate. So that's your income report. And then you've got this how-to section, which is clever, given how-to's the most searched prefix on the internet. And you just share basically a whole lot of how-tos. Branding your vehicle, the ultimate guide. I wish I'd known about that. That's been a big discussion in the forum of recent weeks. How to easily make your website look professional. Wow, you just cover everything. So that's kind of, you just keep adding little bits to that over the course of time?
Yeah, actually, as I cross that path, as I kind of solve that problem for my business, because as you can see, I'm a little bit anal about what I put out there and
Mate,
what I
didn't
choose.
pick that up.
So, so I'm the same way when I'm evaluating what I do with my business, and all that work goes in. It's just wasted if I don't write about it right then. So I'll just write about it as I cross that path.
Let's digress, Dan.
Uh-huh.
Anal retentiveness. What a word. What a phrase. It's kind of, where does that come from? But does it get in your way?
Yeah, definitely. The paralysis by analysis. I'm very good at executing once I figure out what I'm going to do, but I definitely over evaluate way too much on a lot of things.
Do you wait for everything to be perfect?
I've been a lot better about it, just because of some recent books I've read about, that just holding you back, and some other of the mentors I've had kind of taught me that you just got to put it out there. It's really hard. It's definitely really difficult to put some of that stuff out there when it's not quite perfect, but it's the only way to do it.
I'm guessing Lean Startup's probably one of those books.
I haven't read that book yet.
Well, what are the books you've been reading that'll help you break through your anal retentiveness?
One of my most influential books was The 4-Hour Work Week, and that really is what set my path to get started. And then there's the Get Things Done book. That's Getting Things Done. That's a big one. And then just what a lot of podcasts say. I listen to Pat Flynn's podcast, and then Internet Business Mastery podcast, and they talk a lot about just progress over perfection is one of their sayings. And, that's definitely very important. It's helped me kind of like just go out there and do it. Just put it out there, do the best you can, give yourself a certain amount of time to get it done, finish it up and move on,
Man, I think this is a really interesting conversation because I've been there, and I've studied these kind of online stuff, and it's not just online. I mean, it's in all parts of life. But copywriting is a great example. I was talking to someone only about this yesterday, and copywriting is such an important part of marketing, right? And I was talking to this guy, and we were saying, God, if you could just, you just got to pull in all the learnings from all the great copywriters like John Carlton and Dan Kennedy, and they say this about the headline, and they say this about the first paragraph, and this about the call to action, and you've got to use these emotional words. And it's like, man, if you actually wait to figure out how to do all that, you won't write a line of copy.
Exactly.
So my advice to anyone listening, and there are people who listen to this show religiously, and I know that, and I love that. And I wonder sometimes if they get bound up to the point that, Timbo's just shared that information, and his guest has just shared that information, and they're like, at what point do you jump? At what point do you just go, you know what, I'm going to take that website to market. I'm going to test that product. I'm going to do this. I'm going to, my advice to anyone listening is just the answer is now. And the Lean Startup talks about sharpening your offer on the stone of the market. And I think just get the feedback and continue to tweak.
Yeah, I'd say that's one of the most valuable things that anybody, or any trait that anybody can have, is that ability to just get started before they're ready, right? Like when I started my podcast, for example, I was really scared to put that podcast out there and get out there and, present my vocals in a monologue, teaching stuff when I've never taught in front of a group. I've never spoke publicly. That was scary. And I re-recorded it several times before I finally put it out there.
Did you?
But, on my first one, but then, by the time I get to my fifth one or my sixth one, I was like, you know what, one time I'm going to put it out there the way it is. That's how it is, and I'm going to live with it, and hopefully I get a good response. It's
totally. And I bet the fear that you had was much greater than what lay behind afterwards. Actually getting that show out there. Did you look back and go, "Oh, geez, what was I worried about?"
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing the feeling of inspiration you get from actually overcoming that fear and putting it out there. You're just like, you just kind of open it up, and you're just like, all right, you're kind of relieved in a way. It's really, really good for that. And, another thing on that fear, I want to touch on the fear of getting started. For me as a handyman, I didn't have a lot of, when I first got started with my business, I didn't have a lot of experience. Like I said, there were certain projects that I had done, and I did them well, and I was confident in those projects. But as a handyman, you literally do hundreds of thousands of projects. No two jobs are the same. And so I would literally be, speaking of sharpening the stone on the market, I would literally be Googling in my iPhone how to do a repair while I was at the house, because I didn't, I was just like, I just got started. I was like, I'm just going to offer this service. I'm going to try to do a really good job. I'm going to do the best I can. And that's what I did.
Man, that's good stuff, Dan. Like, glad I wasn't your client, but that's great stuff. You probably did a wonderful job, actually. But again, anyone listening to this who's thinking, I mean, even me right now, I've got a fair bit on, but right now I'm just kind of verging on the idea of putting together a webinar masterclass around a particular area that I know a lot of small businesses struggle with, which is branding and getting their kind of message right. And I just want to put it out there and just say, hey, I'm running it. Let's do it. But I'm just trying to. I'm actually, I'm caught up in a bit of anal retentiveness. I'm waiting for the ducks to line up, whereas I know I should just do it. And I think anyone listening should also just, if they have got an idea, just do it. The downside often is pretty low, and the upside's huge.
Yeah, what's the worst that's going to happen, right? You don't sell as many as you thought you would.
Correct.
You learn from that mistake. You make it that much better, and the next time, hopefully, you sell twice as many.
Correct. Now, that's great discussion. Now, let's get back to your website, because we've nearly finished dissecting it. But so you've got this how-to. Interestingly, I note that your last update on how-to was July 30, 2013. Dan, that's 2.5 months ago, brother. Hey?
Maybe I ran out of content. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But it's really a matter of, I guess, where I categorize it. I get a lot of that stuff. A lot of those income reports could be considered how-tos. I haven't done any directly how-tos, though. You're right. I need to get on that.
Yeah, it sounded like a whole lot of excuses then.
Yeah, that is a lot of excuses.
But look, it's interesting, how you categorize it. Oh, yeah, well, I didn't know that. For me, I've just gone to a page on your website that hasn't been updated for 2.5 months. And I just think, again, and I'm not criticizing you. I know you're out there having a real crack. But, if a punter comes to your site and goes, oh, gee, 2.5 months old, is he still around? I always think that, if you're going to run a blog, you got to keep it up to date because it just looks better. Yeah, there's my rant. You're still with me, Danny? You're still with me?
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally see that comment. And maybe I'll just take off the category page, because my blog posts are up to date. I definitely do at least 3 solid posts a month. So that's a good call, though.
Yeah, man. Oh, you took it beautifully. The last section, I like. You got toolbox, which is kind of interesting. You're sharing the tools you use right through to where do you get your business cards done, the phone system you use, what you use for your website hosting, etc. Hope you're using Net Registry because they're my sponsor. Automated email follow up. That's gold. I mean, my thing there. I mean, you're sort of giving away some absolute gold there, and over time you build that out, and that could become part of like a little black book that you put behind a paid wall.
Yeah, sometimes I think I'm putting a little too much information out there, like kind of giving away the farm right there.
Interesting, because I get that question all the time when I speak, because I'm often standing in front of a group of small business owners who are nowhere near this space. They're offline. And I talk about how, I've got this weekly podcast and I blog and I give them all this information when I'm speaking. And I go, isn't there a point where you give away too much? What do you think about that?
I learned from following Pat Flynn that I think that might be impossible to actually give it. Do you know Pat Flynn?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. I mean, that guy gives everything away for free and makes a ridiculous amount of money and creates a ridiculous amount of value for people. I don't necessarily know that business model will work for everybody, but that definitely gives you some insight into how, the power of giving things away for free, right?
Yeah.
And giving them a lot of value, and of course, a lot of people are going to take that value, that free value. They're going to go and create exactly what you've done because they don't need the hand holding, the step-by-step or the one-on-one consultations or anything like that. But then a lot of people, because you're reaching more people and they're going to share that and it allows it to go more viral, a lot of those people who do see that but still need that extra little push or that extra help, they're the ones that are going to create value for you in the way of paying you back for your other products.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I think there is there may be a point so far down the track where you've given away too much, but boy, oh boy, it's a long way off for most businesses. I always use the example of celebrity chefs. They give away a lot for free, yet they still sell. If you only have to watch their TV shows and you kind of can get in there and understand what they're doing. But people still go to their restaurants, buy their books, buy their DVDs, go to their stage shows. I think it's a far off point where you say I've given away too much for free. Dan, tell me, you have, let's just talk. It's interesting to dissect the Handyman Startup blog and website. You do some pretty interesting marketing yourself, and you've got I like some of the concepts you've raised. Let's talk about the, the super customer. I love that. What's a super customer?
So that's a term I've given to my clients that I really enjoy working for. Those clients that they just call me up, they hire me. They're not too worried about price. They know I'm going to do a good job, and they're just so easy to work with that it gives me energy instead of takes energy away from me. So, I've worked for, well over 200 customers at this point with my business, but I've gained about 8 of these super customers, and these super customers will call me every month, almost every month at least, with jobs, projects they want done. I come over, I do them, I bill them. I obviously have a relationship with them. I talk to them or
give them a big
or whatever. Hug. Yeah, but they're just those customers that make your business so much better and so much easier to run, especially as a handyman when you're just working off of small jobs and things. Those customers that continually feed you work and just really make your business for you.
How do you find them?
Well, you got to find them. You can find them anywhere, and that's the trick. I found most of mine online through my website because that's where I do most of my marketing. But, anywhere you can find them off of a referral. They could see your truck if you've done a well-branded truck. But really what it's about is keeping them. It's not, finding them is going to happen no matter what, unless you don't find any customers. It's a matter of keeping them and building that relationship. And I found that it's as simple as, doing what you say you're going to do and doing it well. And then, just keep on doing that. And eventually they turn into this relationship where they will just hire you and they don't even need a quote.
Yeah, golden. Do you do anything to nurture that relationship, to maintain it?
I probably don't do enough. I'm not too good at that, actually. I am planning on doing a little Christmas gift for them, just to say thanks and, hey, I appreciate the business. And I always try to provide value in the form of enthusiasm and energy when I'm at their house. Yep. Just the little things is all it really takes.
Tell me another concept I really like, Dan, that you've introduced is this called the honey-do lists, which I kind of like. I think I love this because, and I'll get you to explain what a honey-do list is, but I like it because you've packaged something up that's already existing, but you've just given it a name and a kind of an emotional kind of sense around it. So what's a honey-do list?
A honey-do list is just a list that like a working mother would give to her husband, like, hey, honey, I need you to do these things, So just write this list of just little things, and it's like hang a picture, fix the faucet, whatever it is around the house that needs to get done that the husband just doesn't want to do or whatever, that's on the honey-do list.
Love it. So you package that up and sell it as the honey-do list, and then people get it straight away. Yeah, I've got one of those.
Absolutely, yeah.
Man, we've just moved into a new house here, and my honey-do list is way too long. Way too long.
See, how would you like to have somebody just come in there, bust that out really efficiently, and get it done the right way?
I even think the idea of actually offering up, it's you selling packages of like 5 hours a month that you buy 12 months in advance. So there's cash flow for you up front. It's insurance for the homeowner going, hey, I've got access to Handy Guy 5 hours a month. And then they know they're just going to get stuff done. as opposed to having to always think about it.
That's a great idea. Tim, I need to talk to you more often, man.
That's how we roll on Small Business Big Marketing, Dan. There is marketing gold dripping from the studio ceiling.
Man, I know I'm getting a lot of value. So,
hey, mate. We're going to have to wrap it up. I've really enjoyed talking to you. I good on you for the transparency that you offer. Handyman the world over, not just in Nevada, man, just everywhere. I think it's a noble thing that you're doing, and may it continue, and may that $64.47 an hour very quickly grow into a three-numbered figure real soon. I reckon it will. I have no doubt. I mean, I know exactly what you're trying to do, and I would almost encourage you to just even think a bit bigger, because I think you're onto something.
Thanks, Tim. I really appreciate you having me on the podcast and allowing me to share my story and giving me these insights and tips. So, I'm definitely looking to do big things, and I can't wait to get started.
That's why we call it Small Business Big Marketing. Dan Perry from HandymanStartup.com. Thanks for being a part of the Small Business Big Marketing tribe, mate.
Thank you for having me.
Drip, drip, drip goes the marketing gold. Listeners, I hope you enjoyed that interview as much as I did bringing it to you. It kind of ended up being sort of a little bit of a consultation, a little bit of a private consultation, as well as Dan taking us behind the scenes of his business. What an interesting kind of way he's gone about things, starting from scratch. My top 3 learnings. Number 1, transparency. Isn't transparency interesting? It overcomes many fears people have about whether they're dealing with the right person. Dan is an open book, and you go over to his blog, and you will see just how transparent Dan is. And I wonder whether more small businesses, you don't need to reveal all your numbers to be transparent, but I guess the question is, how can each of us be more transparent to our prospects, to our customers, in order to kind of pull them towards us? Learning number two, I love the idea of alternate revenue streams. Like, here's Dan, Handyman Dan, but he's also got this other business training the trainer, training other handyman. And, that I'm sure that's going to generate more income at a very soon than he's getting from his handyman business. And I love that. So the question for you is, what can you be doing what other revenue streams can you introduce in your business? And often one of the simplest ways is to think about what kind of information sharing could you be doing beyond selling your services or your products. Maybe there's a little training product in there that you could put together. Maybe there's a podcast in there that you could seek sponsorship from. That's what I did with Net Registry. Bless them, they make it happen. Number 3, the honey-do list idea. Honey-do, it's hard to say. Honey-do list idea. I love that. Packaging things up makes it easier for people to buy from you. What can you package up, give a cool name to, and make it easier for people to understand what it is you offer and what it is and how they can buy it from you? And, we've all got a honey-do list, and I just love that idea. So I hope you benefited from that. I certainly did. Plenty more of that to come over the coming months. That is it for the show today, except if you hang around after the closing credits, you will hear me driving in my car talking about the experience I had this week trying to buy the new iPhone. And I bought a new microphone, and I used that microphone when I was in my car, talk about the new microphone. So, talk about the new iPhone. I get complicated. I trip over myself sometimes. Hey guys, that is all. Thank you to Net Registry for a wonderful, wonderful partnership. May it continue forever. Head over to netregistry.com.au for all your online marketing needs. Lots of great stuff coming up in the coming weeks. Be sure to join the Small Business Big Marketing Forum over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com. I love your work, and may your marketing be the best marketing. See you next week.
You've been listening to the Small Business Big Marketing Show with Tim Reid. Want more marketing goodness? Then visit smallbusinessbigmarketing.com.
Well, it is with great sadness that I drive away from the Apple Store without an iPhone
5S 64 gig. It was about 11 o'clock in the morning. I guess they opened at 9, and I went in there and I've been tossing up, didn't know whether to get the 5S or the 5C, and 32 gig, 64 gig, so many choices, colours, all that type of stuff. So anyway, I go, okay, well, I'll make the decision, I'll go for the 5S 64 gig. I boldly walk up to the fellow in blue and place my order, and he says, no, haven't got any. So I'm feeling a bit shattered. They sold out within an hour, and that's kind of interesting in itself. From a marketing point of view, it makes me wonder, why did they understock? Like, what's the strategy in play there? Are they deploying the scarcity approach where it makes you want it more? Could be, but I don't know. It would seem to be a bit silly that. From my point of view, I'm like, oh, now I don't know what to do. Will I come back in a week's time when they've got more? Or will I just stick with my HTC One, which I'll talk about in a minute, tell you why I'm making the move back to Apple. But, that scarcity thing, I feel pissed off, if anything. I don't feel like, sometimes when, you can't get what you want it more. Right now, though, I kind of feel like, oh well, my bubble's burst. I was so excited, and now I actually feel let down. I wonder how other people feel who have gone and done the same thing, because, gosh, 11 o'clock, there's going to be a whole lot more Timbos walking in wanting. In fact, the only thing he could offer me, they'd sold out of a whole lot of the different models. The only thing he could offer me was a 16 gig 5C in a variety of colours. So, yeah, that's interesting. Don't know. Feel a bit let down. I will probably end up getting it next week, and first world problem, having to wait an entire week. Now, so that was my experience at the Apple Store. Why I have moved across, or I'm moving back to Apple. So I've had an HTC One now for about 4 or 5 months and have absolutely hated it. The reason I did it, the reason I got one in the first place, I had my iPhone 5 stolen in Vietnam earlier this year, and so I had to replace my phone, and because I do a lot of speaking, I'm often accused of being Apple-centric when I'm talking about marketing. In fact, I'm the guy who coined the phrase Macketing, because I honestly believe that Apple Macs are so beautifully set up for the small business owner to create great marketing from. It's just a wonderful intuitiveness. There's some great software programs. It's nice, clean, friendly, easy way to get around. And one of the things that stops small business owners from doing great marketing is they think everything's very technical, and I think Apple actually make marketing your small business quite easy. Some of the programs, like ScreenFlow, for example, it's just so beautiful on Apple. But there's arguments for and against, but that's how I feel about it. So, I was accused of being Apple-centric from stage, so I thought, okay, I've had my iPhone 5 stolen, I'll take a hit for the team and I'll move across to the dark side, to the Android platform. So I did that and spent 5 months with it, and I've hated every minute of it. Firstly, it's just too big. It is too big. They've coined this phrase iPad, sort of a cross between an iPhone and an iPad size, and it's more like a roof tile than it is a phone, the HTC One, and I think the Galaxy S4 is probably the same. So kind of a bit annoyed about that, the size of it. It seems to heat up. God knows, I keep it in my pocket, like you do with your phone. God knows what it's doing. Fortunately, I'm not having to, I have a need to create no more children, but there is a bit of a rumour going around that it's not a good thing to keep your smartphone in your pocket. Both boys and girls, listen up. I tell my kids to stop doing it. I do want to be a grandfather one day. Not intuitive, like just the HTC wasn't intuitive. Just trying to figure out where stuff was. It wasn't where you'd hoped it would be, and Apple are the masters of that. I think it's a great marketing lesson for us all in making it easy for our clients to buy from us, to use us, to know how to use us, to know where things are, how to find things. And I'm constantly making incremental improvements with Small Business Big Marketing, the website and the podcast, and just making it easy for people to consume what it is you've got to offer, whether it be a podcast or a product or a service, your content marketing, whatever it is. And Apple are great at that. I don't know, the other thing, I guess, moving out of the Apple world was that I moved out of the Apple world, so no longer were things talking to each other, and that made life pretty difficult. So, you know, wasn't using iPhoto anymore, and yeah, things just no longer worked seamlessly. And I think the more, as small business owners, we can make things work seamlessly for our clients, the better. Everything, I don't know, there was nothing, I'm not gonna miss anything from giving away my HTC One or selling my HTC One. It just didn't work for me. But there's a whole lot of people who are loving it, and I'm kind of excited about getting back into the Apple world. It's actually interesting holding the iPhone 5S, even the 5C. It's a great size. It just didn't feel a lot different. I know one of the complaints about the new iPhones is everyone's looking for these big, massive shifts, these big shifts in innovation, but they really are incremental improvements. I guess iOS 7 is a massive innovative shift, or I don't know, it looks different, but you know, these things, you know, as long as they make it easy for you, make business easy, that's what I look for in my technology, in my gadgetry. My criteria is it going to make my life better? Is it going to improve my business life? That's the criteria for technology with me. And it was interesting holding the 5S, that it was just, it just felt like the same old iPhone, which is probably good. Familiarity is a great marketing strategy. You know, marketers don't want to shock people too often. So that was my experience. Maybe in a couple of episodes' time, I'll be the proud new owner of a 5S if they've got any in stock. Hey, the other thing that happened, and what I'm recording this on, is my new Smart Lav, my Rode Smart Lav professional lapel mic. So I've actually got this plugged in to my HTC One, and a little lapel mic sitting on my shirt, and just talking as I drive, which I guess is kind of not illegal. You can talk while you drive, just can't be on the phone while you drive. So yeah, this is a rockin' little thing. I think it was about $60 or $70, 20 bucks for a wind sock, because I get a bit of wind. No, that's for when I'm outside and wanting to talk and not have interference from the wind. So pretty happy with that. It just makes being able to do this kind of thing a whole lot easier. I could have done it previously. I mean, I could have just spoken in to the HTC One. You could just speak in to your iPhone. They've all got recording software, but I'm hoping, and this is untested, I haven't heard what this sounds like. Obviously, this is the first recording I've done, but I'm hoping it sounds pretty sweet and dulcet. This is Timbo Reid coming at you from the car. So that'll be interesting to see how that works. But I guess one of the great learnings here is about, again, the old content marketing. We can be creating content anywhere. There is content everywhere. And this is an example of, didn't do a lot of planning, had a thought about, what I was going to say here, and seized the opportunity of actually going ahead and sharing my feelings with you as I drove away from the Apple store. So that's how I feel, and that is about all I've got to share. And let's get back to other things that I've got to share within the episode. So signing off, that was a bit of a rambling way to close, wasn't it? Signing off, I'll focus on my driving. See ya.